A lot of them have already jumped into AAU and are playing some more, and they go do the workouts with Nick and Ang, and it's just they play and they play and they play. But thank you very much for that comment. That means a lot.
Let's go fishing. You know it's really great. Let's go fishing. In the rivers and on the lakes. Let's go fishing. It's easy when you try. Floating on the water with good old Steve and Mike. Floating on the water with good old Steve and Mike.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Let's Go Fishing Show. And glad you're all tuning in. Got a couple of special guests over here with us tonight. We've got two gentlemen from TWRA, and Brad Daugherty and Brian Franklin. And we're glad to have those two gentlemen over here with us tonight to answer all kinds of questions. They're just full of answers. We just got to make sure we ask plenty of questions. So anyway, we are glad to have those folks here with us tonight. We've been trying to set this thing up for several weeks, and just finally worked out for tonight. So if you all would call in with some questions and anything you want to ask them will be great, and we'll just move right along. I want to say hello to Dad and Bill Nichols, Michael Chuck Pennington down in Harriman.
Yeah.
Hello, Mike. Because we know they're watching, and we'll go move right along till we wear these guys out over here, and then we'll move on to something else. Guys, it's glad to have you with us tonight. All right. Good to have these people here. Kind of fill us in on what's going on with some things, and so the phone line is open. And while I'm introducing or talking to them, if you want to call in. We'll try to get you the right answers and go from there. We know we're competing against the SEC lady basketball teams tonight. I think there was one more game left, and they're probably playing right now. So anyway, we're going to move right along. Mike does have some crappie film.
Yeah, a little bit of crappie.
Got a little bit of crappie film if we need it. But I'm hoping these two gentlemen over here with us will take care of the whole show for us, and with the questions and answers of things that we might need to know. To go, and we'll take a little commercial sponsor break here every now and then, and come back to us. The first question I'm going to ask Brad is, Brad, what about our fishing license? They ran out, 2 days ago, or the end of February, the 28th, I guess. Mm-hmm. And is the price still the same as it was this past year?
Yes.
It still is the same?
Correct.
Okay, good deal. I've had people ask me how much they are. And you all do have certain ages get them for a different price, that kind of thing, if you're over 65 or whatever the year may be. What is the regulations on that, if you'd help us out?
Yeah, let me look it up right quick.
That's
the new fishing guides are out.
good.
So all that information, especially dealing with licenses, is on page 10. Depending on age, the best deal going is if you're under 3 years of age. It's $200 if you can, you have a child, get their license before they turn 3. It's $200 for their lifetime, and then it just goes up by age, and it's all listed here on page 10 of the fishing guide. So,
mm-hmm. Okay, good. Let me ask you something else. Brian, you can help us out with this. What are you, as far as live bait, artificial bait, and that kind of thing, what are you allowed to fish with that you wouldn't have to have a license in the state? Or is there anything that, can you do any fishing without a license?
The only fishing that you can do in the state without a license is if you are a private pond owner. So if you own a piece of property and you have a pond, you can fish on that property without a license. Now, if you own that piece of property and I come to fish in your pond, I would have to have a license.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good answer. Now, what about the type of bait, live bait? Would you, can you use, or can you legally use certain baits and some live baits that live creatures that you can't use? What's the deal on that? Is there any?
Well, you have an annual fishing license, and it's $34, and it's good for any type of bait.
Okay,
lure
cut
that you can
bait,
use.
live
Yes.
minnows, brim. If you were fishing, I think them guys use some bluegill, catch those catfish at times.
If it's a legally caught fish and a legally sized fish, you can use it as bait.
Okay.
But if you do that, we need to be able, like, if you want to use another game fish for bait, if an officer comes checks, you still need to be able to determine the total length of that fish.
Okay.
Now, there is a county of resident license, and I think this is where a lot of people get the idea of, hey, where can I use live bait? And it says this is a license that allows an angler to fish in his or her county of residence with natural bait, worms, crickets, cut bait, corn, etc., but no minnows.
Okay.
That's the county of residence, and it's only $11. So you cannot use artificial. And if you want to fish for trout, you've got to have a supplemental trout license if you want to fish for trout. But that license is $11, but you have to fish in the county that you reside in. So people from Roane County can only fish in Roane County with that license.
Okay. That's good information to have. Good deal. Good deal. Mike, get the next question for these guys.
Well, they done busted my bubble there when he said he couldn't use minnows.
Well, that's if you buy the $11 license, right,
Yeah.
Brad?
Correct. Yes.
If you're buying the $34 license, you can fish with minnows.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you about restoration of your boat. That's something you have to do every year, unless you can buy it for 3 years, I think.
No, two, that's all they let
Yeah,
me
you
buy.
can buy them for multiple years, up to 3 years, a year, 2 year, 3 year. But yeah, that would need to be done, obviously, going into boating season. If I can do a safety spill real quick, it's just make sure your stuff is working properly. Check your life jackets, check your registration. So many times we run into people and we see these types of issues, which are ultimately violations. But just check your stuff, check your equipment. Water's fixing to come up. Still shallow spots. Be aware of your surroundings out there.
All right, Brian, that's good. Some good information. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Mike. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, we're doing fine. How about you?
Pretty good. Can them guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. I've got a couple of questions. I don't know if they're the right ones to answer or not, but I got a question about some of the boat ramps. And before I ask them, I think they do a great job and everything. I'm not complaining. I'm curious. Okay.
Yep.
Spring City, the boat dock at Spring City. You got any idea when that thing might be finished?
I don't. I wish I had an answer for what was going on at Spring City.
Did they hear me?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
answering you. Are you hearing?
Can you hear us?
No.
Oh, well, okay. Hold on just a second. Do we have, your mic is on, I'm hoping.
It is on. Can you hear me good now?
Well, you can tell me what he said. That's fine.
Okay. Go ahead, Brian. Dylan, fix us up there where these guys can hear us.
Are you referring to a TVA ramp or a TWRA ramp?
He said, was you talking about the TVA ramp or the TWRA ramp at Spring City?
I think it's TWRA ramp. They're working on it right now. They've got it all tore up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully they're in the process of getting it fixed. I don't have any knowledge of that ramp since it's not in Rome County, so I can't speak to the specifics of what may be taking place with it. But hopefully, those guys are always moving forward and always trying to upgrade our ramps. So if it's tore apart, then obviously the next step is to fix it back right.
I still can't hear. I can't hear either one of you now, but I'm recording the show. I'll listen to it later.
Okay, well, listen, what we're going to do is I'm going to hang you up, and then, you can call my cell phone and let me know if you're getting it in. That may be the problem. You're not getting through the phone line. Okay?
Okay.
All right. We're gonna
call
start.
You on your cell phone?
Yeah, if it's working, if you can hear us, just call me on my cell phone, and then that way we'll know you're getting to hear what they're saying.
Okay, hearing you over the show.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got one more question for you.
Go ahead.
Do they take care of the boat ramps at Watts Bar Dam?
The ones immediately north
Yeah.
of the dam? No, those are actually
Oh, they do?
TVA ramps.
Those TVA.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping they did. I'd like to see them. You can't put in above the dam in the winter, and you below the dam, you almost kill yourself trying to put in on that thing. It needs some way to tighten your boat up,
Correct. But
Okay, I'm going to call your phone if I can hear you, and
Okay. All right.
I appreciate those guys, okay?
All right, man. I do too, buddy. I got you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, bud.
to speak to his question about the ramps, both of those ramps, the one that's north of the dam and the one that is south of the dam, on the Mexicali County side, those are both TVA ramps.
TVA,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay. And I'm hoping he heard us there. Yeah. Let's see if it's. Okay, did you hear us? Hello? Okay.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
ask those guys what about the stocking for the walleye there on Watts Bar.
I want to ask them, but they're going to tell me that they're not into the stocking program. We're going to have to get their boss down here to get that information, and I've done trying to hog tie him. But I'll find out what I can.
Okay, thank you, buddy.
All right,
I'm
buddy.
watching your program.
All right, I got you, buddy. Appreciate it. I think that's the ticket. Yeah, Larry. Okay. Yeah, Larry. Did you hear it? Hey, yeah, okay, man. Yeah, that's what we got to do is cut things off and then let them answer the question. You can get what you need there. All right, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, see you, buddy. Old Larry Melton.
7-second delay between.
Yeah, it's got a 2 or 3 second delay. But that's what I thought we'd have to do would be to cut them off and then you all answer the question for them to hear it. Right. But anyway, we heard that guy asked about the walleye stocking, and I know you want to address that, so go ahead.
I don't have any information. That would be a fish biologist question. And those guys are doing their projects. We're out doing our law enforcement duties. So sometimes we don't end up getting that information quite often.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping Mike would come, and hopefully we can get him over here in a week or so, and when this schedule will let him, and he can fill us in on the stocking program and what the biologists are up to.
Exactly.
Listen, Brian, you started out, safety. Let's run through you and Brad there of what it takes to be 100%.
Yeah.
With your life jackets, the people, it all varies from the number of people you got on the boat, I think, or the size of the life jackets, and you don't want to throw a big life jacket on a child and that kind of thing. So tell us what you guys really look for.
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, you know, if you have a lot of people on board, you know, you have to have a life jacket for every person on board. And in Tennessee, kids 12 and under, they have to be in a life jacket at all times unless you're anchored or moored. So you've got to have those little kids in a properly fitted life jacket, you know. You know, I know especially your little infants, I know it's hard to keep them in life jackets because it's hot, especially during the summer, but, you know, that is one of our major safety violations that we come across. But your life jackets, they've got to be readily accessible, not, you know, we see a lot of life jackets brand new still in the plastic wrappers. You know, they can't be in that. They've got to be readily accessible because, you know, an accident can happen in mere seconds. And so you're not going to have time to open it up and divvy out the life jackets. So they got to be readily accessible. Even before, it's up to the operator to show the passengers where the life jackets are stowed. You know, so make sure everybody knows that. If your boat is over 16 feet long, you have to have a Type 4 throwable. You also have to have a fire extinguisher, Type B fire extinguisher. Your boat has to be registered. You have to have a sound signaling device on board. So, I think pretty much, have I missed anything?
The only other thing that I would add is inflatable life jackets are only legal as if they're being worn. So you can't have those stowed away in those suffices as a proper PFD. Some things that I've seen in the past is youth under the age of 16 being in inflatables or manuals. They have to be at least 16 before they can. So I've seen, you know, this past boating season, small children in inflatables or a manual. One other thing that I like to add is boater education. Somebody on the vessel has to possess boater education. And to spin off of that is we've got some boater education classes coming up, not classes, but test days only. And those are the first and third Saturdays in March and April. So we got one coming up this Saturday at 9 o'clock. We'll be there from 9 till 10 or 11 at the Rome County High School cafeteria. You got to have your Type 600. Purchase that is $10. That allows you to take the test, and that lasts you for however long it takes you to be able to pass your test. And you got to be 12 years of age to take the test.
Yeah. Now,
that was a lot of information. Any questions, clarity over that, feel free. I mean, you guys can call in and ask more detail or track us down to the region office.
Well, I hope a lot of these people are listening to that. And Brad was doing the class when I took my grandson Wesley down, and you know, people don't know where to go to get that information, and that we're fixing to let them know.
Right. We actually have that posted on TWRA's education site. If you track down through classes, you'll find that posted.
Good. Let's go ahead, caller.
Hey, I got a question about kayak fishing. My son, he likes to go out kayak fishing, and he always has his life jacket with him, but he's not always wearing it. And I was wondering if he has to wear that at all times if he's on the kayak. But I'll hang up and listen to the answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller.
How old is he?
Your son's how old? You guys can address that, his age and everything.
It's that age requirement, you know.
Yeah.
So once you hit 13, then it's.
You have to wear it.
No,
you don't have to.
You know, once you hit 13, you know, it's your parents' decision whether you wear it or not. But you know, once you hit an adult, you don't have to wear it. But 12 years old is that age
up to
you have to have it on at all times. So if he's 12 or younger, then he has to have it. But if he's older than that, then it's.
Okay, I hope we answered that question. Then, if it's 12 or older, he doesn't have.
There's also specifications on if you're, is it 300 yards from a dam?
Correct.
300 yards from a dam, you have to, no matter what age you are, you have to have a life jacket on if you're
Yep.
within 300 yards from a dam.
Yeah, there's, and if you look at the dams, when you come up on that warning buoy, and that's at the 300 mark,
Right.
pretty much. I mean,
And also, we, during the summer, especially at night, the nav lights.
mhm.
You've got to have your nav lights on. That's the most one of the most important things you can have, especially if you're boating at night. And fishermen, I know you like to turn that all-around stern light off, but you've got to have them on. You can see people fishing. We're driving down the lake, and then you'll see a light pop on, and then when we go by, they pop it off. You can't do that. They've got to be on all the time. And again, that's we see so many boat accidents because of that. People turn them off, and they don't get them turned on, and people don't realize it, and then there's a collision, and it's just bad news. So you have to have those lights on at all times.
Yeah.
We run into a situation where the people in the kayaks was out there fishing at night. Do they have to have the running lights too?
That is one where it's kind of unique. They just have to have a flashlight. They don't have the running lights. Which that I don't agree with. I can't really say that. I think everybody should have lights on at all times, but that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. They're also not going to be running at any speed.
Yeah.
Which I think affects the decision on why all they have to do is be able to provide a light.
Mhm.
Also, speaking about the lights, is when you're up and running, your only lights that you should have on at night is your red and green and all around.
Mhm.
So many times we see fishermen, pontoon boats, where they're running their docking lights, or they'll run every light they have on the boat they'll have on. Those will ultimately could be violations. So when you're up and running, turn some of those lights off. It actually helps your night vision and helps the person you may encounter's night vision also.
Agreed, 110%, man. And I do in the summertime. I do a lot of night fishing, and those headlights on some of them pontoon boats, they must shine for 100 miles because, man, they'll knock your eyes out. And you're saying, buddy, if that guy just cut his lights off where I could see, we'd both be happy.
Yep.
But that's the case, and you run into that. I understand that, but I'm going to tell you all a quick story that happened to me and my wife years back before the regulations was you had to keep your lights on all the time. We were sitting in the mouth of Blue Springs. Not Blue Springs, but Bayside.
Bayside.
And there was a pontoon boat across the lake. I saw him crank up and turn his headlights on, and he was coming towards us. And the back of my boat was facing him. I was over on the right-hand bank going into Bayside there, right out on the point, just as I come off, where the little bluff line is there. And I know what happened later. My back light there was like a bunch of house lights in there on the bank in front of us, and that guy never saw me. And the water splashed into my boat. He didn't miss me that much with his pontoon, and it's just because. And I was flicking my lights off and on, and everything else, screaming and hollering, after he passed me, and they hollered, "Turn your lights on!" Well, I had them on, and I was even blinking them off and on, But what it was, I got to thinking about it when I got up on the trolling motor. I'd done jump back in the middle of the boat and had my hands on my wife there because I knew we were fixing to get hit. And when they passed and I wheeled around and looked, I said, "Well, I know why they didn't see me." Because my back running light blended in with the background back there. They never knew I was there. And but still, yet those kind of things do happen. And even more and more this day and time, there's more and more lights getting on the lake. Used to you went down through there. If you wasn't in the marina, you never saw a light.
Correct.
And so now the banks have just dotted with lights, porch lights and garage lights and street lights and everything else, and you can get lost in the shuffle real quick, for sure.
It seems like a lot of, not to be down on night fishermen, but with the way electronics are today, it seems like some guys just look at that computer screen and go whatever, and don't think of what could be in front of them in between those two spots that they're traveling to. I'd encourage everybody just to slow down a little bit. Like in your situation, you see a bunch of lights with houses that's lit up on the bank. Take a moment and think, could somebody be sitting there? Is there a little light I might be missing?
Yeah.
And just use caution.
Good.
Because it could change your life like that.
Good
And
thing.
I always recommend, people have spotlights mounted on their boat. Well, unless you can turn it, it's only pointing one way.
Right.
So the best all-around spotlight to have is just your handheld. Turn it on, get your bearings, sweep for a buoy,
Yeah.
things in front of you, turn it off, and have it there. And like in your case, if you had a handheld spotlight, you could have beamed that guy and oh yeah, okay, and it would have helped your situation a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. I was too busy fishing but we did. But I realized after the fact, like I said, that my back running light just blended in with the background, and they never saw us.
Never saw.
Let's see. Had some more questions here. We talked about the safety aspect, and I get this thing about these inflatable life jackets. If that kind of life jacket, you got to have it on. But I mean, you got to wear it.
Correct.
And or one that you zip up and tie up is readily available type situation. I want us to get back to this schooling that you got coming up here Saturday.
Right. Test day.
Test day. Okay, so really what they should be doing right now, if they haven't, if they're interested in doing it, how often you have that class?
Periodically, we come up with some dates, and I'll say those again for anybody who's writing this down.
Yeah.
It'd be the first and third Saturday in March and April. If we see that we're getting good numbers, a lot of demand for people who need to take the class, we'll obviously have more. But I encourage you to go on the TWRE's website, go to education, go down to boating, and if you sort through some of those categories, you'll be able to find a list of every boating class, every hunter ed class that's taking place, that you can find to get in one.
That's everybody that's born after what year?
Correct. Everybody born after January 1st, 1969, 89, sorry about that, is required to have boater education. And it's 69 for hunter education.
Yeah. Okay.
I got another situation that I run into down there, and I need to ask a question about it. I come into the dock there at Caney Creek and tied up. The guy was standing on the dock, and these three teenage gals come in with the boat. It was his boat, and he was sitting there talking about them being down to spend the weekend from Michigan. Are they subject to have that class if they operate a boat in the state of Tennessee? Is he
Correct.
responsible for them if they're out operating his boat out there without that class?
Well, a lot of states offer boater education also. So if they were from Michigan and they had proof of taking boater education,
Yeah.
then that would be all right. I don't want to get into the legalities if I lease you a boat and things like that take place, but ultimately, yeah, if whoever's on the boat, at least somebody has to have boater education.
I mean, would him being the owner, would he be responsible to turning somebody loose with his boat without it even, like his kinfolk like that come in? If they didn't have
It's
it?
possible. It depends on the circumstances, but it's possible. Obviously, if he was to turn a kid loose that didn't have boater education, that way he's,
Yeah.
how best to say it, an adult figure directing a juvenile. then that charge ultimately could roll over to him.
Mm-hmm. Good information. Like you said, these classes, folks, here we go.
I've said something that's sparked somebody's interest. I'll let Brad answer that one.
Hello, caller.
Hello, Steve and Mike.
Yes, sir, Mike. How are you?
Doing good. I got a question and a comment, I guess, and I'm sure the question is going to be a hornet's nest. They just now made a comment about the people coming in and borrowing somebody else's boat.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure that other person would at least have to have that restoration card on that vessel. Is that correct?
Yeah, the registration has to be on the boat, no matter who's driving it.
He said the restoration has to be on the boat no matter who's driving it, Mike.
Okay, I thought I was correct.
Yeah.
Now, the Hornets question. State of Tennessee has a mandatory seatbelt law. Why does not the state of Tennessee have a mandatory life jacket law in order to save lives? And I'll hang up so that I can listen to them.
Okay, Mike. Good to hear from you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, guys, you heard the question.
Yeah, the only mandate we have is the 12-year mandate, but other than that, it's you've got to have discretion. The ability to. That's a question we really can't answer because
Political.
some people still think that you shouldn't have to wear your seatbelt. It should be your choice, but
Yeah.
as of right now, that's not the law, and so that's really how it is. So,
Right. It's a good question, but I see where Mike's coming from, and that's true. There's a lot of videos out there of people being thrown overboard, running their boats, and they get thrown out and that kind of thing.
We have just as many accidents in kayaks and canoes and paddle boards, than boats going 50 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour. So, it's
Hard thing.
Each scenario is different, and
Right.
so.
Well, let me say this. I'm going to back up on the training one more time, folks. If you've got a young person, and you got these jet skis, you got outboards, you got runabouts, and this, that, and the other. If they're going to be driving the boat, they have to have this course. There's no doubt about it. And I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. Because I didn't pay to take it, but I took it while I was doing the studying there, and I missed about 3 questions myself.
It is a tough test. There is a study guide online. We encourage people to study that.
Yeah.
This is for a test day only, so you're just coming to test. On the days that I've said, and even online it should say test day only. But there are classes out there that offer a few hours of actual course, just like the study guide.
Okay, let me try this again. Oh, Dylan, I've got 3 lights flashing. Hello, caller. No, not there.
Hey,
There we go. Now we got you.
I got a safety question.
Go ahead.
It used to be when you're in the boat, you had to have when you're sitting in the boat, you had to have your tail set down below the gunnel.
Yeah, I'm going to let them guys answer that because I know just exactly
He's
what.
shaking his head, so that must still be true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm going to let him answer. Good to hear from you. All right. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and give us the yes or no on that.
Right on. Yeah. Your hind end needs to be in a seat. It can't be sitting on the gunnel, on the back of a seat. We see. I've seen people sitting on the back of the motor, driving down. You just can't do that. You need to be stationary where you don't have that capability of flying out of the boat, because you never know when you're going to hit a rogue wave or something in the water, just below the surface. So that's the best. You need to be in a seat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's kind of, I'm like you, people sitting on the back of the seats, pulling skiers, that kind of thing, I will say this, boats this day, heck, 25, 30, 40 years ago, if you had a 60-horse motor, you was probably top of the line.
Correct.
Now we're talking the 250s, 300s, 450s, and that kind of thing. And these boats are running up in the 70s and 80s mile an hour. It's not like, hitting the water at 40 mile an hour. You're moving on.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't take speed to be in an accident.
Right.
And, we see a lot of people on pontoon boats sitting on the bow of the pontoon boat with their feet dangling in the water as they're going down the river. And, if you stop and think, what would happen if they fall overboard, you're not going to get that boat stopped enough before it runs over top of them. And,
right.
And that is just a fatality waiting to happen. You've got to be inside that gate. Don't be doing that on the pontoon. We have to work boat accidents all the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, this would have been so easily prevented if you just use a little bit of sense,
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably offending somebody by me saying that, but you do, because an accident can happen in mere seconds, and a great day fun on the lake can go tragic in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, before I answer this, if you're riding on the pontoon boat and it's got the sides wrapped around and there's like 3 foot from the side, from the front, or from the handrail out to the end of the boat, you have to be back behind the handrail or you're illegal.
Yeah. Yes.
If
If you're
the
running
boat's
that
moving.
big motor,
Yeah,
Right.
if you run the big engine. Okay, good deal. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
I got another question. It's not kind of a question, kind of a comment for the gentleman. When you're doing your safety check, are you now looking for the kill switch on boats? And is there a certain horsepower that might be mandatory that you have on that vessel? And I'll listen for you. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Right now, the requirements are only for jet skis. Jet skis, 100% of the time, we're looking for kill switch to make sure that those are attached. As far as a bass boat right now, I would encourage everybody to wear one. But to have a kill switch for however horsepower you have, that may be something that's coming down the line, but it's not enacted right now.
Okay. I'm sure you heard that, Mike. It's a good question and a good answer.
The best safety thing they've come up with for years, other than the kill switch, is a foot throttle. Where if you
Correct.
get thrown away from it, it comes back to an idle, instead of where the old hand job, it's still running wide open down through there or something.
All the regulations and stuff that we have on the water is purely safety driven.
That's right.
So, a lot of times we encounter people and they don't understand why do I have to have all these life jackets? Why do I have to have this? I'm on a boat. I'm on the water. It's flat. What could go wrong? So we really take the time to educate them people on the events and things that could happen and how quickly they could happen.
That comes back to your safety course,
Correct.
knowing who has the right of way
Correct.
and who doesn't have the right of way. It's kind of tricky, and so if you don't have, or you've got a young person in your family that's fixing to start operating a motor powered boat of any kind, jet ski, be it whatever it is, that course is a good course. I'd advise anybody that had time to do it to review that info, because you got two boats merging at the same time. Who does have the right of way in places, and that kind of thing. Kind of tricky, but I'm glad they're still offering it. And you've got the class in March, and then this coming Saturday. And you said the next one would be when?
Well, the first and third Saturdays in March and April.
Oh, okay, April. First and third Saturdays, March and April.
Correct. And
Okay.
if we have good crowds that's come out for just those test days, then we'll add more. We'll probably add another month in, or and see what the demand is to have. We're still trying to figure out the process, especially with the corona stuff taking place, of parameters. So we ask people to wear a mask, still abide by those deals. We'll be able to separate people out in the cafeteria to be able to take the test and things of that nature.
I know I've heard people say, well, I'm 29, 30-year-old. I reckon to run a jet ski, I don't have to have that class. I said, well, wait a minute. If she's born after a certain date.
We hear that a lot. I've been out on this water my whole
it.
life. Why would I need boater education? And it's like, well, you're going to learn something in there that will probably save your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is pure safety driven.
Yeah.
And to caveat on that, I don't know now if the libraries are even open or not, but before all the COVID-19 came out, you could study online and make an appointment at pretty much any public library in the state and be able to take that test on your own time. But now, certain libraries are open, some are closed, so you just need to make a call and find that out.
I know Kingston Library was open for a while, then closed for a while, and some people had called, hey, I want to get this class, how do we do it? And that's how we come up with some dates. But if these dates don't work, I encourage you to reach out to your public library and see if you can consider this.
Okay.
Well, the same dates that you got in Kingston may be different for
That's
Anderson
correct.
County.
That's correct.
So if they can't make it in Kingston, they might be able to.
Yes.
Or go to contact your public library, and you could do it at your own time.
Okay. Let's see who this is. Go ahead, Carl.
On the boat registration, can you have the same TN number on 2 or 3 different boats at the same year? And if you buy a boat, say, every 2 year apart, can you transfer the same TN number? And they better be careful how they answer that if they don't know this answer. Thank you.
All right. Okay. You can't have different numbers. I mean, the same number on 2 or 3 different boats.
No.
But you can keep the same number on the one boat that you got, or if you get a new boat, you're going to get a new number, right?
You'll be getting a new number.
Once that boat's first time it's registered, that number stays with that boat.
But with the boat, no matter,
No matter who owns it and for however long it's out there.
Okay. So you can't transfer it because of the hull numbers and the information that's following that TN number. So if you get a new boat, you got to have a new number.
Right. That new whole number.
Yeah, and then you have to have, if you've got 3 boats, they all have to have different numbers.
Correct. And if you sell a boat, ideally, TWA says you've got 14 days to notify them to get that boat out from under your name.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't run on my registration and things of that nature.
And we come across that a lot on the lake. People will buy a boat and they say, oh, I still got 2 years left on the registration, I can run it. No, you can't,
Okay.
you have to register it in your name before you can get it out. It's like a car. You can't run on somebody else's tag, So you've got to have the boat registered in your name.
About 15 minutes.
Okay.
You think about it, in the event of an accident and we get that boat registration, it would take us right to, if it was your boat, right to your doorstep. So the legalities,
Yeah.
obviously, you can't run on somebody's registration on the road. You can't do it on the water.
But you have 14 days to get that done, then,
That's
when you
correct.
sell the boat.
Which
get it changed
it
over.
appears that nobody ever does that. But yeah, ultimately you'd want to notify, and if I was selling a boat, I would want it to get clear of my name once it left my property.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about size limits and stuff. Yeah. Mike, he's not catching enough crappie, so he's wanting to know what the problem is.
Well, the only thing I can speak to is I'm surprised nobody's called in and asked about the Asian carp. The only thing I can tell you is what's written on page 4. I haven't seen or heard anybody who's ran into Asian carp on Watts Bar. So any information as far as Asian carp, I'd have to refer you to page 4 in the fishing guide.
Okay.
And that shows a map of where they've been found, what's actively taken place with them, and things of that nature.
So they haven't made it to Watts Bar yet, as we know of. And I think, actually, I don't know if they were in Chickamauga. I remember seeing that.
I seen something on there that they'd come up with some kind of sound thing that they was putting below the dams to try to keep them from coming into the locks and stuff to where they get transferred up the rivers and stuff. No, you haven't seen or heard anything on that?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
That'd be a fisheries question.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Page 4 of your handbook will get you information on the Asian carp. I understand what the caller was talking about earlier about the boat ramps. Both of those ramps are TVA's responsibility.
That's correct.
Yeah, because the one above the dam, the one below the dam, and so they are TVA's. Let's see, what else was we going to ask about?
You know, and if you talk about our boat ramps, you know, if you see something with a ramp, report it. You know, please report it. You know, our heavy equipment crew guys, you know, they deal with the whole state, and you know, it's hard to get around because they work so many ramps, and they do a great job. But you know, these access areas they're designed for fishing, putting your boat in and out, and that's it. You know, we have a lot of people that do other things at ramps, and you know, so we need sportsmen's help. You know, if you see something, call and report it. You know, and that way we can keep track of these ramps and keep them in good shape, because as you can see, they can get out of hand pretty quick if people misuse that property. And so it's sportsmen's dollars that goes into fixing them, so we need to keep them up. So.
Good deal. Good deal. Hello, caller. Oh, try it again. Go ahead.
Hey, Steve,
Yes, sir.
as far as fire extinguishers, if I've got an open back on my boat, I don't have to have a fire extinguisher. If I've got a closed like an inboard engine, now I got to have a fire extinguisher.
I'm gonna hang you up and let these guys answer that question. That's a good one. All right, gentlemen, what's the deal on the fire extinguishers?
Yeah, he's right. You know, if you have just an open, compartment, just, you don't need one. But really and truly, you have fuel on there. I would have one on there. You know,
Don't matter how long a boat you got, if you got a 20-footer that's an open hull and a hand throttle, you still don't have to have a fire extinguisher.
I think that.
Yep, as long as the fuel compartment is open. So if you've got a jug just sitting right there,
Yeah.
ideally, you wouldn't have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
I would, if not for you, for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now it goes up. You know, when you get into larger lengths, it goes into. I think it's 39 feet. You got to have two. Is it 39 feet?
Correct.
you have to have 2 fire extinguishers. So,
Yeah.
so taking that boating class, you'll know that. And plus, when we give these guides out, usually at the courthouse and places, we have boating guides. You can get it online at our website, and they'll tell you the boating regulations as well. So yeah. But that caller was correct.
Good deal.
That class goes for any kind of boat that you operate, whether you're running a 60-foot yacht or whatever. If it's got a motor on it, you've got to have that class.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, folks, we're getting down to the final minutes. If you've got anything you want to ask these gentlemen, right now would be a good time to do it while we got them here in corners. They're pretty busy. I will say this about the boat ramps. Let's see, what was it, 2 years ago when they went around and put the aluminum walkways and stuff in, and they probably continue to do it on as we're speaking now. I know of 3 different ramps that they really made a lot of difference.
Yeah, the county partnered with TWRA and got that done, and that made launching boats and protecting your investment more
Yeah.
or less. Did a very good job with that.
Main thing is they done the handicap ramps to
Yeah.
help people out. Yeah.
Sure did.
And like I said, that costs a lot of money, and that's why we need to make sure. Brian and I, we patrol. We try to take care of them, and it's up to all of us to do that. And like I said, if you see something, say something.
Good deal, Brad. Go ahead, caller. Oh. Go ahead.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
I have a question for the gentleman.
Go right ahead.
Is it illegal to ski under a bridge?
That's a dang good question. Never thought about it.
Illegal to ski
Under a bridge. All
You
right.
see them going under the
I'm going to
interstate.
cut you off so you can hear their answer, okay?
Well, I'm speaking primarily about the Little Emery Bridge and the Harriman Bridge and so forth.
I understand, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, buddy. I know where you're at. Where that's not a real wide place on the lake, either place. Yeah, so what is the rules for that?
There's some areas, and it does specify that you cannot, but most you can.
Yeah.
I'd have to get in the rules and regs to find out which one, but I think the Little Emery and the Harriman Bridge, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Whether it's a smart idea or not, is it legal? Yes. Is it smart? Probably not.
You got the no wake buoys up at the ones you can't ski under.
Yeah, like Caney Creek, we see people all the time. It's a no wake through there, at Caney Creek, and that's one of it's a fatal funnel, so you need to be a no wake speed through there. So basically, you're not going to be able to ski through there, and there's even some requirements in rules and reg. You can't pull a tube or anything through there, so you just got to know that. But yeah, those that caller mentioned, it's okay to do that.
It's open for that, but it's not good practice.
Correct.
All right, good deal.
I can say one thing about the ramps. I said something about it, I think, last week. That whenever we was making our trips to Florida, every lake we went to, every ramp had a sign there that said no power loading, because that's what's destroying these ramps. Them motors is down. It's just like a big blaster blowing the dirt and gravel out from under your concrete and destroying your ramps. I think the state needs to come up with that around here.
Well, it says that in that boating safety class. We actually teach the boating safety class. There's a video showing that that's not a good practice to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's talked about in the boating class. I know when they do this, if they're studying online, they'll get that dose.
Okay.
It talks about that. So yes.
All right, comes right back to the safety questions and stuff. It's online there for everybody to look at, and that's a good thing. All right, listen, I want to thank these two gentlemen for coming by, and Brad, you and Brian, can't thank you enough. I would get into the legalities of legal size fish, but we only got 5 minutes, and it'd take Mike 10 minutes just to try to argue you out of them crappie. Yeah. But you know, you got to have the correct measuring tape or whatever. He's got to buy the golden rule and the dadgum pouch that the crappie goes in and everything else. So, but we do appreciate you two guys coming over and spending the evening with us. I think we learned a lot and had some good information for our viewers, and we really appreciate you.
Well, Steve, real quick on page 13, it talks about how to measure a fish.
Okay, page 13, folks, in your fish and handbook. So if you don't have one, the new ones are out. And get by your local tackle store, and he's probably got them laying on the counter.
And you can download the TWRA app on your phone and have access right to your phone.
There you go.
TWRA on the go. Is that still it?
That's correct.
TWRA on the go. You can download it on the phone. You can buy your license over your phone. If your boat's already registered in your name, you can re-register your boat there on that app as well. So it's a great app. You know, our website and apps, they've done a phenomenal job with that to get information out. Just people need to utilize it.
All righty. That's TWRA on the phone.
On the go.
On the go. On the go. Okay.
If I may, earlier in the show, you asked me who could fish without a license. I just want to say, kids 12 years and younger, you can fish without a license. I meant to add that in there. So take a kid fishing.
Take a kid fishing. That's exactly right. All righty, folks, we're going to get off of here. I want to say thank you guys again for coming over, and we'll see y'all next week. God bless and be safe. All right. Hey, folks, here at Tim's Tires, there's the times that they're open. It's 5 days a week. They're open from 8 to 12:30 on Saturdays. All right, folks, we're inside here in the warehouse. Just wanted to give you a quick look at all the tires and stuff they got. And here we are. There's some four-wheeler tires, lawnmower tires, just a mixture of about any kind of tire you want. So keep that in mind. Then here we get into the light truck, automobiles, that kind of thing. So just walk through here and give you a quick look at what they've got in stock here. I mean, it's it's just, I don't know, man. They must be a couple of thousand tires in here right now, if not more. Sizes, shapes. You truckers, you know the word. This is the place to get your tires for your trucks. And these over here, getting a little bigger sizes, light trucks, heavier automobiles, this kind of thing. And as you can just see back through there, it's just, heck, I don't know, this building's probably about 300 feet, one end to the other, and they're wall to wall. Remember Tim's Tires, folks. That's down here on Highway 27 on your way into Harriman, and get the best deals they're going. So give them a call, price check, whatever you want to, and if you want a special tire that they might not have, you could, they'll definitely get it for you. Tim's Tires. Let people know what we represent.
That's what we're all about. We do try to do an honest day's work for the people, and we've got operators from all over the DOE sites, TVA sites, the outside contractors. We're just about everywhere you see a heavy piece of equipment, good chance that you'll see an operating engineer on it, whether it be Barnhart. I'd like to mention them, All Crane, and all of them that's signatory to us. We have over 100 contractors that's signatory to us, so I definitely appreciate those guys all the way in Chattanooga, Kingsport, Tullahoma, throughout all the way all the way up to Johnson City. So.
Who knows your day?